Greetings, greetings, loved ones. Greetings, kin. Greetings, family. Okay, so I realized something this morning and this rising, whatever you associate this plasma with, that um, you are most definitely in my circle of influence because I am feeling inspired. I'm feeling inspired. I'm feeling inspired to share something this morning because um, a a a sister of mine on Facebook posed a question, and I shared what it is I felt like was appropriate on a comment, but there was still more brewing in me. I wasn't sure if I had articulated it um, fluidly, not fluidly, completely. There was more dripping out of me, and I was experiencing a resonance and a a pain point because I had felt her inquiry and wanted to give some resolution, and I hadn't expressed it fully. So anyway, um, the what I keep hearing, and that's why I think it resonated so hard, is a difficulty to, long story short, play. Okay, to get out of the program. They might realize that there is a program, but they struggle with the reorganizing themselves to be working within their truth. So anyway, my sister in had just kind of put out a post, and she says, um, uh, "How I'm trying to figure out, how to, create. I want to create a product. I want to produce, as so many of us who are tapped into our feminine energy wants to do. But I haven't. She was like, I don't know where to start. She was like, I don't want to do this and I don't want to do that. These were all the things that she, had been known for and working in what she does in post. But she wanted to do something. She just wanted to produce, and nothing was revving up for her, right? So she was kind of like putting that out there, and I was asking like, how do you figure this out? What do you suggest? So I respond. Let me make sure we're still recording because this thing does funny things. Yes, I respond because I've been there before, and for me to give something like a comment on a little short excerpt is I had to like break everything down because of my love for her. I had to break everything down, and the bare root that I could respond with was to stop what she was doing, according to my experience. Okay, so this is what my whole video is going to end up at. Stop what you're doing. Okay. Um, and rest. Be still. Okay. Stop and be still. Then, after that, you play. Play. That's it. Just play. That's the beginning. That's the spark. Okay. So to stop, then play. Then whatever it is that you've done in your playtime, share it. Share it. That connection is what brings something into fulfillment that is from an inner desire. And that is how we find ourselves in a more enlightened space. Okay, so be still, play, and share. But that was just like such a sum up. It had to be because I was still feeling more in me to say about it. So, here it is. Okay, rest. Okay, rest. Now this is just a small little function within the toolbox. So there's a much bigger explanation when it comes to this. But when we say rest, when we think to live, when we say rest, it's just a little excerpt here. We mean reduce in, be still. Okay, So I've already reduced it. But then transcend. Okay. That's resting, right? So even I realized from my own experience that you can't just always stop. Okay? But the very first start of stopping whatever it is that you're doing is to reduce it. Okay? At least reduce it. You've got to create some type of change within the atmosphere. Okay? Reduce it. Reduce it. And then you're going to end it. Okay? End and then be still. Because when you're still, this is where the inspiration comes in. Okay? When you're still. So people, want to refer to it with meditation, whatever the case. But just be still. Long enough for you to transcend. And what transcend is you're being still to the point where you don't want to be still anymore. And from there, you do something. You do what it is that you feel inspired to do because you no longer want to sit still. But that's the important part, is to do something that you want to do if you're coming out of the stillness. Okay? Some of us need a lot of time to be still. And while we're still, we're allowing the other emissions to come out of our existence and our presence, and we're able to see a bit of shadow. We're able to turn our perspective inward, okay? Because inward's where it's at. All right, so when I got up, I allowed all of this stuff to just kind of like pull out of me this morning. And I'm going to tell you, there are a couple other things too that kind of sparked all of this, but I've already been on my whiteboard. And so the next thing that I want to share with everyone here who is within the sound of my voice is that play part. That play is where we have the opportunity to like really listen. Okay? Listen. Listen. What can I do? If you don't perceive that you even have the ability to play, okay, we've got to look at some things. Why isn't the world perfect? Why isn't the world, my world, mind you, why isn't my world functioning the way that it should in this given moment? That's the key. In this moment. Why right now am I not making my perfect world? Because play is where you're doing what you want to do. Do what you want. Okay? But if something's keeping you from playing, then it's time to start looking at why that is. Okay? This is what we like to call shadow work. Why is that? Why is it that you're not able to play with whatever it is? Because whatever this play here is where you begin to create. That's why it's such a big. This is where we are able to share ourselves with the world, and it returns back the same amount of value. The true currency is where we're able to play and then create with what we play with. You see, and that becomes something that's productive. So that's why the campaign is always to play, create, and cultivate. This is what moves us forward in growth. But if you can't play, then this is, let's see, let me speak from my own perspective. This is me, okay, and this is some type of thought that I have in the moment, and whatever it is that is keeping me from elevation, okay, from my own expansion and moving forward and upward into pride of everything that it is I am and do, there's something keeping me, okay? That something is where my attention is going. Now, maybe that something isn't keeping you. Maybe, you actually have another consideration that's up here, right? But no, some people are in the route that you have some type of judgment. You have some type of judgment, right? I do that in all my videos. There's some type of judgment that keeps you here. So some type of connection that keeps you in thought with whoever this is in your circle of influence, right? Because we have circles of influence. I always have to kind of make sure to catch people up who don't know what perspective I live in is that of nature. So we have our circles of influence. This is me. This is my parents who are right next, and then I have my siblings who are in the next circle of influence. You see, and then I have the next circle of influence, which is my peers, like my best friends. So they might not be family, but I share them all my secrets. And then I have the next circle of influence, who is my peers, people I work with, and grow with, and learn with, and then we have others who might be my neighbors, my community, and in my city or local, I'm able to see them. And then we have people who I can't necessarily see, but I get to experience, right? So these are like maybe like my social media, right? Where we're still within each other's influence. We're still influencing each other, even to this day, right? And then we even go out and we have things like nature, right? We go a little further out, the air, right? The air is an influence to me, and I am an influence to it. So, we have these circles of influence here. But we also, within those circles of influence, we have these connections, okay, that rotate us around and keep us cycling experiences together, all right? And this circle of influence doesn't necessarily have to be another person. It can also be a tradition, okay? It could be, it's all of your memories, our connections, things that you can remember and you can connect to and have some type of perception, some type of judgment about it. It can be a person, but it could be, person, place, or thing, right? Apply any noun. Okay. And from there, you're forming some type of judgment. I didn't plan to do that. But you've got some type of judgment there, right? This is what we want to work with in terms of our shadow work. What keeps you from playing? When I say go play, go play. A lot of people, I've said this before, and then when I look at them and they say, I don't know how to play. I don't know when I say, what does play look like to you? What does it look like to just, if you had your entire day? This is what I ask children as well. If you had your entire day to do whatever it is that you want, what would it be? What is play? Nothing's stopping you. Or if something's stopping you, then you've got some type of judgment between you and what is perfect about this person, da 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 da, right? So we can stay here in this perspective up here, and what I call the silver lining, and look into our shadow, okay? Into our shadow. One of my favorite sayings is that the best place to grow is in your shadow, which means in your own attention. Let's look at, let's bring our attention to the shadow here about this judgment, and we're going to ask ourselves. This is because this is who us empaths are, right? Let me share with you a little bit about that. People who are under the sound of my voice have a tendency to be a bit empathic. Like they can sense what's going on around them to the degree where they can perceive how their perspective might make a difference. Right? So, yeah, I'll leave that. All right, so we've got these people here, not here, but actually here, who are able to perceive what's around in their world and on their own personal experience, which is your perspective. When we look out into the world, we can see what's going on over here. Okay. All right. But not only do we see, because this is really all we really see, right? Is our perspective, because what's over here is like a whole other thing. What's over here is an actual person or an actual energy, which is in its own truth. But we can perceive here, but we might actually also be able to consider what the other person perceives. Mm-hmm. You can see, because some people just stop at this. Some people, because there's an empath and then there's a narcissist. Okay, this is where sometimes we trap ourselves up, whether we're really in the moment being empathic, or is it really narcissism? Because we all have this projection, and just like how we have this projection of our own perspective, that projection that we see over here always loops back around to us. And this is what the empathic are able to do. They're able to kind of like live in both worlds with true awareness that what they're perceiving is really what we are going to experience, because we can feel that energy. Okay. But what we're doing sometimes, okay, is where we're not actually returning it. It's where we're taking into someone's perspective and only seeing, oh, this is what they said, so this is what that means about me. So when we're looking at something over here, this is happening, that's happening, this is happening, that's why I'm not I am not ascending. Okay, this is why I'm not able to play and be myself, is because of. Then we want to look at those situations and ask ourselves, what can we do about it? That's when we're taking action. What can I do? As a narcissist, I would be making a projection. I would be able to see who it is that person is acting out to be, and make it solely about me. You're acting that way because I did this, that, and a third, right? But the narcissist keeps it there. They have not been able to develop what should go full circle. Is I perceive what it is that you perceive about me, and it's agreeable. Okay, because this is actually true. This isn't always, actually true what it is that we perceive here. Because what it is that the person would perceive here is going to reflect in our own behavior, and the person here is going to have the opportunity to build their own perception. Now, whether that's true or not has to happen through communication. That's where the magic begins. All right. So, play. If you can't play, then it's time to do some shadow work. Because a lot of times, this whole perspective right here, that is actually in our mind, what we've created through our program. This is what we have as a paradigm. That's our paradigm. Our perspective of the world, which is very unique. Okay, look at, we've got a whole eyeball here, which is very unique to you. And what we can do is we can actually shift that whole perspective, shift this whole cell, the membrane of that cell, and so we can actually shift that whole perspective, this middle line of judgment, or to, actually dissolve. Not altogether, because we have to have some boundaries. Boundaries are important. And when we build our boundary, and it's short and it's steadfast. We know who we are. And we've explored that through play, through testing the waters and determining what's good for me. Okay. Then we're able to make this very thin layer between our auras begin to dissolve just little bit by little bit, and we begin to share so much that's in line with each other. All right. So we don't want to hold our perspective to only be about us, because of how I see the world. But whatever is not fitting with what it is that we see, experiencing over here, and we see over there, and like, oh no, without considering their perspective as an empath. What is it that they're feeling? Okay. Whatever it is that we can judge and make a determination of, oh, this is what I consider to be true about this event, person, whatever the case over here. What can I do if I deem it should be different? Or what can I do to keep it what it is, because there's no reason to change it? You see, this, once we begin to lose any type of necessity to change something, while we are determining that, when we stop, we begin to transcend, and we're able to play. Do you understand what I'm saying? Once we're able to play, then we're able to create, and we're able to continue to share through this portal that's been created, that we're building from. Okay, in terms of new perspectives, in terms of testing those judgments on that little layer that divides us between being one. Okay, because we're in this world to be individuals. This is what makes the difference. Okay, to play. I'm gonna get to my stories in a moment. I just want to make sure that I get through some of this, because I've got a meeting to play in about 30 minutes. Remembering. Okay, there was something I put down I wanted to make sure I spoke about. Remembering. This is where remembering happens. Through the communication, we begin to attempt to see the other person's perspective. And it allows us to remember how that is even possible. Once we can actually allow that, then we find that there's that spark of connection. Okay. All right. And then we're able to transcend how we perceive the perspective of another. This is our perspective, right? And that allows us to remember ourselves. Okay. This is where we make the connection. And just to point out that here, we always have this this limit of our imagination. Because that's what we're using here. What it is that we can imagine, because we're dealing with our own limitations that we can perceive of what's possible in the world, and whether that actually be true. All of this happens within the imagination, and we feed on it by the exposure to each other. Listen, play, be still, to the point where there's nothing else that you can't. I don't want to be still anymore. I'd rather, whatever the case is. First, rest, reduce yourself, reduce what it is that one is doing in order to rest, come to a complete stop, end it for a given purpose and time, and then be still. And in the stillness is where we begin to be fed what's happening within our circle of influence of the right now. Right now. This is identifying with the pain, if there is any. Okay? So the imagination here, we ask ourselves, who am I? Because remember, the ability to ask oneself is the superpower. So it's coming back to ask oneself, who am I? That individualism. Who am I? That's what it is to actually look at this wall and say, who am I when I'm looking at this? When I'm experiencing this? When I think about that? Who am I? And what does it make me want to make as far as a statement? This is the who am I? I'll just put am I. Yeah, who am I? What makes you different or the same? Well, who am I? And if there's some type of expression that comes from it, then we ask, what can I do? Okay? Now, this is if you can't get to play, to actually start doing what you want. Something's keeping you from doing what you want to do. If it's a job over here, if it's a person over here, if it's feelings over here, you got to look at it and ask, what can I do about it? To either change it or amp it up. And actually work with that energy. And that you'll identify as turning into play. Okay? It'll end up turning into play. Because you start expressing yourself. You start moving things around. Okay? And you're able to work within your pride. Let me go back to the stories. Because I'm going to show you the golden circle, how this whole operations things go. Because in my growing up, I got a little time. In my growing up, and I'm still growing up, by the way, but in my growing up, I've found that there's a particular pattern of progression that nature follows and that we follow as well. When we're working with growing ourselves, and that's the spiral. Okay, it's a spiral. So I just need you to see that image real quick, because this is how we inherently would want to produce within a growth mindset, right? So in Mind Your Garden, in that meeting or recording, I already share how the mind grows from the inside of the mind in the spiral. But now I'm going to show you and explain in my experience how this growth mindset works and is applied. Okay, the applied growth mindset from within the anatomy of the human being. Okay, so this is happening. That's a terrible head. It's supposed to be a head. This is happening in the head. Of a human being. And it's also happening, so in the mind, that's what I'm saying. And it's also progressing into the way that we operate. The way we operate happens in a spiraling type of energy in terms of a growth space from my observation as an operations analyst. Okay, so and I only say that because that's what I do. All right, so I'm going to share something in terms of my own personal experience. Because I play, create, and cultivate, and I want to be the example when I say be you, stay true, and share what you do. Because last night, I was shaken again. I was given a cord where something shook my cord while I was scrolling on social media. A comment that I had made as an answer to someone else's inquiry um, offended someone to the point, another reader, to the point of needing to express themselves as a direct response. And I thought it was beautiful that connection was made, but um, the dialogue afterwards kind of like made me like, oh, like, oh. When I got up this morning, I thought about it again, like, oh, and I thought, wow, these light beams of energy, okay, some little charges of energy on my phone when I'm playing on my Facebook page are in my circle of influence. It's something to consider. Because, like I said, a few days ago, I felt the need to express, hey, like play, create, and cultivate. But, if you can't get to the create part, then I'm going to say go to the very beginning. And that would be to stop. Okay, stop what you're doing. Okay, if you can go, stop, be still. Then play. And then share it. Okay, share your play. That's how we charge what it is that's going to start generating who we are. And then from that point, we have the opportunity to start thinking to live. Okay. And that's to keep that charge going, where we can relate to all being well and in growth. Okay. Staying in the green. Anyway, I feel like I'm preaching. Okay. So we have these energy systems that help us move energy around. Okay. And what happened to me in my life was that I was given the opportunity to rest. Okay? And I had been given many opportunities to rest. Life had opened these opportunities up for me, but because I wasn't staying true to myself, I found myself going right back into the same cycle of working for someone else. Let's put it that way. Okay. For extinguishing my energy and moving, being motivated to move, making movement for someone else's measure of value. Okay. So what happened while I was at rest, when I started to rest, and in this inspiration came in. Inspiration. Let me make sure I'm still recording. Oh, 30 minutes. Inspiration. All right. Came in. And then it was 33 actually. And then I want to point out that that's this crown chakra. Okay. They're called many things, but it's crown chakra. All right. The inspiration came in after I had this wasn't the first one, but probably the most profound one, is when I had to make a decision whether it was going to be me to save my hands from the stress, save my body. I was going through a stressful time relating to what it was I was doing every day. All right. And it affected my hands, both hands. And I remember feeling trapped. Okay. I remember feeling trapped in my mind. Like I knew there was something else to do, but I didn't know what to do. So when I was pressed with a position, carpal tunnel in both hands, and the doctor said, hey, there are things we could do to alter your body. It's just shame that you would let go of this position that very few people get. And I had to decide whether I was going to save my mind, save my body, okay, because I was experiencing a number of ailments. And I say ail because I was ailing about them, complaints of how I felt energetically. And then my hands were going. I said, no, I had to decide for myself. And when I did that, it allowed me to rest. Okay, I had a state of rest. And every time that I experience a new opportunity, um, it's induced by rest. Okay, and I even say with the reduction, because I didn't just leave one day. Um, um, there were projects that would end, and I was sitting at my periods of time where I wouldn't have a project, as I was, like I said, an analyst, and I managed a group of analysts, and all of us would just have just these long breaks between projects. And I had that opportunity to look within myself. Okay, that allowed me to bump up a few things, and energetically I brought other things. Inspiration, going too long, because here in the root chakra, we're dealing with the tribe. All right, we're dealing with the tribe, because what I was then inspired to do, I had to see if it was even within. It had to. I was brought a lot of things that weren't for me, that my mind became aware of through this inspiration, that I had to determine what is for me, what is me, what's me, because remember, we have our own perimeter, and this, what it is that we can connect to, that's our tribe. All right, and that's the connections that we're making here. So I had to take things back in and relate to what's good for me, what's real for me, and then I had the opportunity to think. Pineal chakra. Okay, have the opportunity to think and actually relate it to how it tunes in with my own life. Okay, my own perspective. Have some type of vision that allows my paradigm to function. This is what pineal energy is doing. Okay, it's orienting what is happening in reality to what is happening from the inside. And that's why calcification of such organ is not in our best interest. We want to keep that vital, because then when we can think, we can begin to orient ourselves, like I said, and we can is our truth. Okay, and that happens in the sacral chakra. And this is where we tap into the play. Okay, if you cannot play, then we need to start considering what it is that we think. How is that being arranged? And that is where we would look into the rest. That way we can do our shadow work in our connections, right? With our own perspective, in our own paradigm, right? Because what's within is also without, and what's without is also within. Okay, so going from the sacral chakra, from our truth, we are able to generate that energy with play, and we can express ourselves. This is the next step as we deal with our throat chakra. This isn't just the throat, right? Let's do this. This isn't just the throat. Yes, it's what it is that we're willing to express and say, but also what it is that we're willing to do. This is where we're expressing our willpower. This is a big, powerful punch right here. Our willpower. This is what also is a a dial on our motivation, on how much we move from truth. Because when we're able to get energy through there, then we're able to tap into the solar plexus, which is where we share. Okay. And remember, I said to be still, to play, and then share. Share whatever that is, because that's what's connecting us to the outside world, to these other connections here, is when we share and make an impact on someone else's world. And we have the opportunity and imagine them in their best space. Do you see those connections? And then after we're able to share, we're able to tap into the heart. Oh, and if you didn't know, share is our solar plexus, our umbilical cord to the rest of our circles of influence. Okay? And then we eventually get to our heart, where we are in heaven. I'm in heaven, right? This is where we're at the heart. And we're able to really beam, and our whole heart chakra is open. And that's when we feel like we are living in love with yourself, in love with the light that shines literally through you from here in your crown chakra and your inspiration. And you're able to move out, because this is where you not only have that you are in heaven, this is where we create. Okay. And when we're expressing, I just want to point out that, that's when we're communicating with our circles of influence, with our throat. This is communication, and this is what I would say is just cultivate. But before we get to cultivate, we've got play. Where did I put it? Yeah, you express your truth. We play. Our sacral chakra. I put it over here. Okay? Play, create, cultivate. If you can't get to the creative part while you're, because I'm saying the best thing to do is to play. If you can't get to the creative part, then play. If you can't get to play, then we're gonna deal with some other things. We're gonna need to do whatever it is that we need to do to work with. Remember, before the sacral, we were working with the pineal, right? We're gonna not need to start thinking. Think. Oh, we've already got it there. Think. Start cultivating. Think. Yeah. Think to live. You might need to reprogram. Maybe it's the program here. You think and find your solution, but your program is here. Okay. Yeah, there's something wrong here in terms of, because your pineal, because you're communicating with others. Think. Okay. All right. So I just wanted to share all the way down to the nitty gritty. Okay. The very basics. The very basics. What that would be in terms of operations. To be you, stay true, and share what you do. Look, you're gonna want to rest, okay? But like, it's just the rest of that is be still, play, and then share. Don't be discouraged to share it, because whoever it is that you share it with is who's going to be inspired and led to led to be a star. Um, I'm literally going to go play right now. It's work, but it's play. I'm going to meet with a few ladies who also cultivate gardens. Here, my circle of influence, it's going to be um, sharpening because I've noticed that um, that I am impacted to a degree of motivation to make me want to express myself and say, here, no, this is I want you to understand why I'm saying what I'm saying when I say these little excerpts on Facebook or Instagram or it's because there's an operation of things. There's an operation of things. This, okay. Um, Lately, I've come across um, a lot of new friends on my medias, and um, realizing that maybe I need to open up a space to speak because they're reaching out to speak. So I'm gonna open up a space. This is me being motivated by you to move. I'm gonna open up a space for me to learn more about you, if you care to share it, because I'm here to influence and be influenced by that particular circle of influence. Okay, that you are right now. To get further within my circle of influence, there's the Think to Live platform with Heavenly Solutions. Because the way that I see the world is to look for solutions, and the way that I can share my vision with you, besides my YouTube, the television show, is to get to know you, is to open up a space for you. That way I can see myself even finer, even more refined. Okay. Within that particular circle of influence, and it becomes more and more organic as you participate in it with me. So anyway, that's what it is that I get out of it, is that I get to know my circle of influence even more and build on my own perspective of life. And I hope that you would as well. If this has helped you and you want to reach out to me, I'll post some type of information on how to do that um, in the words written, okay, somewhere on this platform, because this is me and this is you. Okay. All right, family, kin, stars, be you, stay true, and share what you do. Play, create, and cultivate. In Lakish Alakid, I am another yourself. Love.
Delhi, Sally, Gamma, Kali, Alpha, Limi, Celio. Know the time and use it wisely. Tell the time and make it so. Red and white, blue and yellow colors show the way to follow. Learn the wave spell, feel its cycle, ride the wave and let it flow.